Hi, welcome to a latest video. I thought I'd just do a bit on what to do in February if you have the resources, if you can get on. We had a -5 here last night, so the place is kind of semi-thawed. Probably be keeping off the plant today. May not be a frost tonight, so tomorrow will be a better day. But yeah, this this is our net area here, so I just thought change of scenery and the beautiful views across the fields there, just make a nice backdrop for what we're doing. As I see in this, just see the shade of the trees here, so you compare that to our middle out there. How much sun, unlimited sun out there, in here shaded even at 12:30 in the day, so obviously a higher risk of disease, etc. It's more important to remove the dew, but I just thought I'd work through a little list, and that's not a bad one to start on. Removing the dew. If you've got the resources, you're there, even if you can do it twice a week, different directions maybe each time you go, just to keep the plant upright, keep the moisture off the leaf, and it will just help prevent some disease, etc. Cutting wise, all our heights all over the place after such a wet winter. I think I'm probably around 25. Haven't even got onto a cylinder yet, which I hope to do tomorrow, or it would have been today if it wasn't for such a heavy frost. So what I've got here, based on some blogs and stuff I've done, also my own experience, a range of about 18 to 22 mil. As I say, not many people are going to be cutting to that sort of height. They're probably going to be a bit higher than that on a normal year maybe. We really don't want to be taking too much off the plant at this time of the year. Don't want to be stressing things too much. The plant's not growing, it's not taking in fertilizers. If you take too much off of it, you're gonna take a lot of food, natural nitrogen off the leaf, and leave it stressed where it can't recover. It's not a bad idea to put a fertilizer on towards the middle of this month if temperatures are good and double figures. This, if it needs it, sort of yellowing, got some red thread in it. That will just help prepare the plant for the stress of pre-season rolling, if it's suitable in early March. Verticutting, brushing. This week it's been quite a good week. Except from the frosts, but the averages have been quite high. We've brushed the squares and done one verticut. I don't want to go in too hard on the verticutting. I like to match my verticutting with the sort of growth. So if there's not much growth, I don't like to do much verticutting. The brushing, this is collecting with a cassette mower. So we're boxing off the brushings that we collect, just picking up dead leaves, and you can see bits there, but there's dead leaves there, there's twigs sort of there, and also the grass plant is, all time it's growing, even in winter, it's shedding leaves. So it's always that brushing prior to pre-season rolling is not a bad thing, and then once you get a bit more growth, then verticutting. But if verticutting's all you have, so cassette, then that's not a bad place to start, but just don't hammer it too hard. Feeding, so probably looks quite green in here, doesn't it? So it's sort of, and the sun's out as well, isn't it? So, but everything here you see is basically is not far off ready for a feed. As I say, I want to strengthen things up. So I'll be looking at putting on something, I'll try and give a range for everyone else, but between 4 and 6% nitrogen, phosphate and potassium based on soil analysis, I guess. So yeah, you want to be putting a granular on, ideally this time of year, if you're going to be on the plant quite a lot, just before rain. So I'm holding off at the moment on my fertiliser. One, there's frosts around, but 2, there's some rain at the end of next week, so I'm hoping to come in, because I'm off next week, just before the rain, and get some granular down. Stock of materials. So yeah, it's a really good time for getting in, your stock of materials for the season: grass seed, fertiliser. Making sure your machines have been serviced, or you've serviced them yourself if that's what you do. Wait another month, we get a bit of growth. If you haven't serviced, the mechanics going to be up to their neck, and you're going to be low on their priority list. Find your corners. You can just see down into there, middle of the screen. there. So just make sure you've got your 4 corners in that you can string across and mark out your pitches. This is a good time just to use a 3-4-5 Pythagoras system just to find those corners if you haven't already got them in, which ideally you'd have them in and kept them in over winter. Pre-season rolling. So pre-season rolling, once you're into double figures, we've got a bit of growth, then probably, yeah, there's a lot of people at the moment quite keen to get on. We've not got much growth here. We got quite heavy frosts. Next week we might start with a mastiff, but it's still very early in the month. So maybe towards the end of the month, creeping into March, we're up our intensity of rolling, but we was, even just cutting and verticutting at the moment, it's just firming the squares up. Then we'll come on to cutting with our 36-inch Dennis Premier. A lot of clubs don't have such a large machine, and then we go on to the heavy roller unballasted, and then we go on to ballasted. So you can see there's a process, and that's over a number of weeks. We need to allow the soil, the roots to pull out the moisture in the soil between those roll-ins, because it's not all about evaporation, it's about transpiration as well, drying the soil below via the roots. Anyway, probably getting too technical there, but and I'll lose myself. So, but yeah, I hope there was some useful information. Just thought overseeding. I see next week we're into double figures, no frosts. It is February though. If you can afford to, waste a bit of seed, try it. Maybe half your seed down now, maybe the other half in a month or so. That might be a way of doing it if you're worried about, getting a frost in a few weeks' time. We would just take the risk. So early next week, I'm just going to come back into here. I don't know if you can see it here, but these ends are a little bit thin here. So I'll be using a hand fork, just to sort of prick in 10mm deep holes and put some seed in. You can put some loam in, but I'll just put some seed. It's not bad to try and get it done now before pre-season roll and get something up. Obviously with pre-season roll it's going to be tricky because you're going to be kind of treading on it, stepping on it as well. It's never easy to get seed up. Something I've always kind of thought isn't a bad idea, sort of 3/4 of the way through pre-season rolling, then do your seeding then. So your last bit of rolling will roll that seed into the surface for the last week or so, and then you finish your rolling, and then hopefully that gives that seed a bit more chance. But yeah, any questions, any comments, please leave them in the replies box below.